It happens in the moment you least expect it, right in the middle of everyday life. You walk down the hallway, past the living room, lost in thought, completely normal. And then you look over, to the spot where he always used to lie. Just a quick glance, but your body pauses before your mind even processes the image. There is nothing, no soft breathing, no quiet sighs, no warm silhouette anymore. And in that fraction of a second, something breaks open inside you, very quietly. Many dog owners know exactly this feeling, and most hardly ever talk about it. Because it feels so strange to explain why an empty space hurts so deeply. But this pain has a name, a scientific reason, and it tells you something important. Today we're talking about why certain corners of your home suddenly became unbearable. Why you might automatically avoid walking past his old sleeping spot. And why what breaks you inside is actually the most beautiful proof of your love. But first, have you ever wondered if you're the only one who feels this way? You're not. Not at all. And you'll understand why very clearly in just a moment. Your brain is a living map, and every room of your home is marked on it. Not with abstract thoughts, but with real, physical, lived sensations. The smell of his fur when he came home wet from the rain and shook himself. The warmth that still radiated from his spot right after he got up and walked away. The sound of his nails on the hardwood floor when he followed you into the kitchen in the morning. All of this is stored, not just in your head, but literally deep within your nervous system. And now, when you walk through the house, your brain quietly and automatically runs through this map. It expects him. It looks for him, entirely without you wanting it to or consciously allowing it. But here is something that many dog owners have never really heard before. It's called spatial memory, and it's not a sign of weakness or overreacting. Our brain links memories to places because evolutionarily, that was crucial for survival. Today, in your home, this ancient mechanism is still active, still vigilant. Except that the feeling of safety was no longer tied to a place, but to a being. And this being is no longer there, but the place is still the same, unchanged, completely silent. The spot on the sofa where he always left the same indent, pressed deep into the soft cushion. The corner behind the door where he always retreated when a thunderstorm rolled in outside. The strip of sunlight on the kitchen floor that he seemed to love so much on summer mornings. These places are no longer just places. They have become like portals that lead directly to him. And when you walk through them, something pulls you inward before you can even stop it. It's not your imagination. It's not an overreaction. Your body is reacting to real, stored information. Many people try to avoid these spots. They rearrange furniture, put new blankets over them, put something there to break the sight line. And sometimes that actually helps. But sometimes it just changes the pain, without making it smaller. Because the memory isn't in the object, it's deep inside you, completely immovable. Imagine a woman who, after the death of her golden retriever, can't walk into the kitchen for months without taking a deep breath first. Not because the kitchen was dark or had changed, but because his bowl used to be there. She could put the bowl away, but the knowledge that it had been right there simply remained. The gap he left behind was more visible to her than anything else that was in that space now. That might sound dramatic from the outside, but it is profoundly human and profoundly honest. Because real loss doesn't know clean boundaries, it spreads, it fills entire rooms. There is something else that hardly anyone talks about when it comes to this pain: the body. When you walk past that spot and the pain hits, it's not just a feeling in your head. Your heart beats faster, your shoulders tighten up, your breathing gets shallower, shorter. That is grief manifesting physically, throughout your entire body, not just in your thoughts. Researchers at Utrecht University measured how the brain reacts to familiar places when they suddenly remain empty. The activation in the emotional memory area is almost identical to acute grief. In other words, your body mourns every single time it walks past that spot. Every single time, without exception, until the neural network slowly begins to rewrite itself. This rewriting actually happens, all on its own, but not if you avoid the spots permanently and forever. Your brain relearns by being gently confronted, not forcefully, not brutally, not quickly, but at your own pace, with your own conscious attention as your only tool. When you walk past that corner and say to yourself inside, "He used to lie here. I remember. I miss him." Then your brain no longer associates this place only with loss, but also with conscious memory. With gratitude for the time you had, with the quiet choice to hold on to the love while slowly letting go of the pain. That sounds easier said than done. I know that, and you know it exactly too. There are days when you just can't do it, when you quickly walk past the room, looking away. And that is perfectly fine. You don't have to be brave about this every single day. Every day you remember, without completely breaking down, is already a step forward. A small step that no one else can take for you. But you'll make it, for sure. Imagine you're standing in your home right now. It's evening. It's gotten quiet outside. And you walk slowly, very consciously, towards that spot for the first time in a long while. You sit down next to it, on the floor maybe, or on the armchair right next to it. And you really allow yourself, completely without distraction, to look at it, at the place where he always was. You see the small indent in the carpet where his weight left a slight mark over the years. You see the fine smudge on the wall where he always rubbed himself, very lightly, barely visible. You see all of that, and maybe you cry, or maybe you don't. Both are perfectly right and perfectly fine. Because this place is no longer just the place where he's missing, but the place where he truly was. And that's a difference that sounds small at first, but changes everything inside you. Missing means absence, but having been is an unchangeable, eternal reality, completely untouchable. No one can take away from him what happened right here in this spot. No goodbye, no time, no silence. He slept in this spot because he felt safe here, because you were nearby. He chose this spot every morning, every evening, again and again, without ever hesitating. That was no accident, no random resting. That was trust, real, complete trust in you. And this trust remains as a quiet echo, as a warmth that lingers in the walls, invisible but real. Maybe you still have his blanket, or his old collar is lying in a drawer somewhere. And maybe sometimes you reach for it, for no reason at all, just because it feels right in that moment. That's not holding on, that's remembering. And remembering is one of the purest forms of love. And love, real love, doesn't just end when the being that awakened it in us leaves. It remains. It changes over time. It gets quieter, deeper, stiller, but it remains. There is a moment reported by people who have accompanied a lot of loss. A moment that comes for almost everyone, eventually, after weeks, or sometimes only after months. You walk past the spot, and for the very first time it doesn't hurt quite as sharply as before. It's still there, the pain, but it has changed. It sounds different, softer, deeper, more patient. And you think very quietly, I am remembering him without completely shattering in this moment. That's not forgetting. That's healing, very quietly, very slowly, completely at your own pace. Some people begin at this point to gently mark the spot in their very own way. A small photo next to it, a plant in that space, something small that quietly says, someone was here. Not as a monument to the pain, but as an honest sign of the love that was and remains. That turns a place that hurt you so much into a place that carries real meaning forever. And that is the moment when grief very carefully begins to transform, not to end. From a place of absence to a place of quiet presence, still there, in a new way. You will never be able to completely forget these spots, and you shouldn't forget them either. They are part of your story, part of his story, part of everything that was between you two. And that's not just sad. That is the greatest thing a real connection can leave behind. Marks. Real marks. Not just in photos, but in the hardwood floor, in the cushion, in the way you open your eyes in the morning. When you automatically turn around because you thought he was right behind you, that's not a mistake by your brain. That is a clear sign of how deep this bond really was, how much he belonged to you. How much he shaped your everyday life, every routine, every morning, every evening, without you even noticing. Your home is different without him, and it will always remain different, because with him, it was a different place. And that's a good thing. It means he mattered, truly and completely mattered, in every single room. Some people wonder if moving would help. Sometimes it does. Sometimes you just carry the map inside you, no matter where you go. Because grief isn't an address problem, it's a heart problem, and hearts don't just move away. What really helps is not trying to erase the places from your memory, but slowly giving them a new meaning. Seeing them no longer as places of loss, but as places where something real and beautiful once was. As places where a being lived who loved you every single day without conditions, just like that. And the next time you find yourself at this spot, and the pain suddenly returns, stand still for a moment, take one deep breath, and say to yourself, very quietly and very honestly, he was here. That is true. That is unchangeably true. No goodbye in the world can take that away. Then keep going, at your own pace, one small step after another, always forward. Because keeping moving doesn't mean letting him go. It means taking him with you, inside you. In the way you love, in the way you now look more closely at everything that matters. You love differently since he stepped into your life. You love deeper since he left it. That sounds paradoxical at first, almost impossible, but it is the truth that most only understand later. Loss doesn't make us poorer as human beings. It makes us more sensitive, in the best sense of the word. More sensitive to the soft things, the quiet things, the fleeting things, the real things that need no loud words. To a dog lying in a strip of sunlight, sleeping deeply and peacefully and trustingly. To the familiar sound of little nails on a hardwood floor, just wanting to follow you. To the way an animal looks at you, as if you were the only and most important thing in the whole world. That is his final gift to you. Not the pain itself, but the ability to feel more deeply. And the next time you feel that, when a dog looks at you like that, you will know inside. It's possible. Again, not right now, perhaps, but eventually. And when the time comes, you'll be ready. Tell us in the comments, is there a certain place in your home that is his spot for you? A spot that you still recognize, even today, perfectly clearly? We read every single comment. This story doesn't end here in this video. It continues, as long as you think of him and remember. And that, my friend, is a life lived in real love. Not in spite of the goodbye, but together with it.